Righty-ho, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nuremberg in one of my favourite Tier 9 tiddies in the entire game. This and the T30 are two vehicles that I really enjoy. I'm platooned up with JDEG here in the 3090, which even on a map like Nuremberg, I've got to be grateful for due to the 370 metres of base view range that I'm working with here on this Waffenträger Panzer IV. Now, to start off, you'll notice that I have full premium loaded. This was because it was a challenge where I was only meant to use APCR and HE. How that's a challenge, I don't know, but it works out for me, so heck it, I'm not seeing any of the standard shells which have 276 millimeters of pen. Yes, standard shells, 276. But here with the APCR, you got 352. And the HE will benefit you with 65mm of pen, but buff your damage up from 560 with regular shells to 700. Speaking of which, let's see that now. I'm looking at this team. I got a Panzerwagen, I got JDEG in the 3090 yelling up to the middle. I'm thinking, okay, let me preload a HE shell. I'm likely to spot a light tank in the middle. Let's see. Oh boy. Whoo! 69 and a 2. What a gorgeous way to start the game, taking pretty much half off that Manticore. Lovely. Now, the Waffenträger, in my mind, is an incredibly flexible tank. You got the horsepower per ton of 15.38, engine power of 400, but as the tank only weighs sort of up to 30 tons, that'll get you around quite nicely. Fully traversable tank. Now, there's one thing that we should talk about just as I get through this bush line here. Let's have a look. You can see me loading HE again. Look at the way this tank functions. And you'll see a lot of good Waffenträger Panzer IV players playing parked side on, parked reversed on, and that is because the engine is mounted to the front of the tank here. You can see this big old lump on the front of the tank. That actually inhibits the gun depression of this vehicle, as you can see, logically so, right? You only have 2 degrees of gun depression over the front of the Waffenträger Panzer IV. That is absolutely awful. So throughout this game, you're going to see me playing it in situations where I can take advantage of the 5 degrees of gun depression that is to the side and to the rear, and very rarely will I point this tank directly at an enemy tank because it takes away flexibility and adaptability of where I can aim. So that's something you'll want to note when you're looking at this Waffenträger. I am really excited by the prospect of finding another home for the 65mm of pen on these HE shells. 700 alpha damage. This is a 128mm gun. 783 on a 128mm gun. This is just gorgeous. You of course do have the option of the 15cm gun on the Waffenträger Panzer IV. Not one I choose. It's more comedically valid on the Borsig, of course. But yeah, so I consider the 128mm gun to just be vastly superior on this tank. And you're going to see, I think if you look carefully, you can see something falling over at the back there, which prompted my blind fire. Now, at this point... Oh yeah, I forgot about this. I really don't know what this guy is doing, to be quite frank. Whether he doesn't have Sixth Sense, which... I think this match was played before Sixth Sense was free, so it may have been that gentleman did not have Sixth Sense. Now, what's going to happen in a moment is JDEG is going to inform me that he is getting spotted. Right? I think that's just happened now, in fact. And so that tells us that the Manticore is doing sneaky things in the bush line. We think that the Manticore is working range line at the moment. So I relocate into a position where I can aim at that location. And we've got to appreciate this is one of the few positions where I'm actually aiming over the front of my tank because I'm on a slight downslope, so I know I'm still going to be able to shoot at where I want to shoot. Very rare that you will see me positioned like this in the Waffenträger. And are we scared of being spotted here as we take that blind fire based on JDEG's estimation? Not really. We've got a cannon rating of 15.68, 2.4 after firing. There we go, picking up Manticore with Jadek's help as he's gonna get pounded by both the RT, takes him down to 28 health, not very nice at all. But yeah, 15.68 camo while stationary, that's base. 2.4 after firing, not very good at all, but it's not a premium old meta TD, so to be expected. And then while we're moving, I believe it goes down to 9.4 and 1.44% after we fire. So, with the current meta of the game, it's not likely that we're going to be able to fire and remain unspotted. So there's a lot of bushwork in this tank. It's one of the main assets of being able to park in reverse, as well as taking advantage of that gun depression that you have better on the sides and the rear. Is also, if you do get spotted, it's faster to run away with your 38 forward, but only 12 in reverse. Now, what I'm thinking, and the reason I have positioned here, and here's something that I want you to appreciate as well. I've said this many, many times. Hit points are hit points, regardless of what tank you're in, whether you're a light tank, a heavy tank, a medium, a TD, an SPG. Hit points are hit points. If you're looking at a T-34 and you're in a T-92, you're like 500 to 600 hit points, somewhere around there, 550 I think, can't remember, but you're looking at a T-34, Tier 8 American heavy tank. You know the maximum he can roll is 500 damage, right? He can't kill you. What power does that grant you? Well, it grants you the ability to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to take this shot and I'm going to make sure my shot connects. I'm going to make sure I deal this damage because I believe that this damage is important. And that applies regardless of what tank you are in. So even something with 80mm of armor at the front, paper, 30 at the side, 20 at the rear, 10mm of tank armor, it's fodder for HE shells. You see a Waffenträger, you load them HE shells because you can get pens on the turret all day. That said, hit points are hit points. Hit points are currency. You trade them for damage, which is why you shouldn't be surprised when you see me becoming aggressive in the late stage of the game, because I have hit points to trade. It doesn't matter that I can't bounce shells because I have those hit points. Now, the reason I positioned here, beyond it being quite a versatile position to get shots on all of this land right here, and potentially a shot into the middle, like if the TVP yellow's up there, I shoot and reverse back, probably around this location, and don't take a clip from him, that's nice. But the reason I'm positioned here is because the enemy have just recognised a weakened flank up here, right? The Manticore, the last remaining sort of forward defence line, has been taken out. So I've relocated to here because I'm thinking maybe I can catch the 261 or the M50 relocating along here. Maybe the Leo will get picked up going out or something like that. So I'm thinking that I can probably pick up a spot or two from this position if I activate my binos, even with the 370 meters of base view range. Now, I'm not too concerned about the town at the moment, but I am looking at this half-health TVP and thinking, maybe just heard him fire one, so we know he's not fully loaded. And that's what's making me think, okay, maybe. There we go, he's fired two. So at this point I say, okay, he has a maximum of 2 shells left, 320 alpha damage in those shells. I just heard him fire another one. I'm guessing he's reloading right now. So what we're going to do is we're pushing all the way along here. And you can see I actually positioned quite poorly. I was aiming for this location right here. But you can see my positioning. I've come all the way out here. I didn't go straight for him, because I know that when I fire and go through my 11.12 second base or 100% through reload, he is going to get a reload off. Reload when I've got about 5 seconds left. And a TVP can output 1,200 plus damage very, very quickly. I do not want to be in close quarters with him when he reloads, even if he only gets to fire like 2 or 3 shells. It's a waste of hit points. But also what I've done by coming out here is I've cut off the line of fire of the Leopard so that I don't take any crossfire while I'm engaging this guy. So you're going to see me put a shot off, and I'm lucky here that his awareness is lacking and he doesn't pull back quickly enough to avoid that shell. You can see I correct my positioning, and you can see exactly what my plan is here. I believe right now that TVP is reloaded. Right? That was my estimation, that the TVP would reload slightly before I had. So I put myself in a position that not only cut off his supporting fire, but also cut off his fire while I was reloading, so that the only time he could engage me is when I wanted him to and when I was willing to make that engagement, which is right now. One shot, 1.5 seconds in between the shells, and he's not gonna get another one. Does take out our commander, but traded some health, capitalized on a weak, isolated enemy tank, and we're able to take him out. Right. So perfect use of hit points and decent thought when it comes to positioning, but didn't quite get it right. Now I'm talking and communicating with JDeg at this point, saying, hey, do you want to go and spot out Leo? I can probably get some crossfire. We're loading a HE shell here, which, to be honest, is an iffy decision. Leopard isn't greatly armoured, but it's entirely possible that I could get a bounce or a non-pen with a HE shell here, so it may be better to just load APCR. Speaking of APCR, 1,500 meters per second shell travel time on APCR, 1,200 on HE and AP. Like, on the HE, 1,200, that is swift. That is really swift for HE, so it's really nice for leading HE shells at distance. Now the thing that concerns me, and I communicate this to JDeg, is we've just lost the gentleman who was fighting around here. So I now feel like my position is compromised. I feel like this E4 could easily poke in this location and spot me. So I communicate that to JDeg, and I say, okay, I'm not going to be able to support you because I believe that my position is soon going to be compromised. So I knock the tree over, and instead I position to try and exploit the E4. Now Leo does get spotted, and I want to go and shoot the Leo. I want to go and help JDeg, but I really feel like this E4 is going to poke, and you can see this phase 1 is on 643 hit health. The E4 has a 155mm cannon with 750 alpha damage. I consider this phase 1 in imminent danger of death, so that's why I'm so keen to aim over here to try and take advantage. Now, unfortunately, JDeg gets himself taken out, and I'm aiming over here to try and take advantage, and then, of course, the E4 appears at just that moment. I hasn't poked far enough around the corner for me to exploit. It's a bit of poor play on my part, and poor play on the part of my Dystonia as well. And now we have well and truly lost the town. You can see how nice this position is for me to work. Now I don't feel the need to fire here, right? Why not? Because we got a Pangelo, because we got an STB, and not only that, right, at this point right now, this is an information game. While I'm set up here with my binos up, I am going to spot anyone crossing this location. I am going to spot this movement. I'm going to know exactly where all of these heavies go if they choose to attack. If I fired here, I would likely be spotted. I would then have no choice but to move forward into this hard cover here. At that point, that would deactivate my binos, and it would deprive me of and the team of the knowledge of where these heavy tanks go. And you will see how important that minor decision is to how this game progresses. Just think about how it would work if I did not know where those heavies were. Right, so holding the shot there, actually really important. You can see we got the Pangelo and STB1 up there, firing. I decide to take the shot at the Conqueror there. Our 2.5% cannon managing after firing, holding up. Are we going to reload? Not quite in time. If I had held there, I might have been able to pick up the 263 that's pushing after him. But now, because we know that those heavies and everyone else has moved over there, now we know that the T110E4 is most likely isolated. Closest thing that could be supporting him is the 60 TP. But at this point, I feel like we're under a lot of pressure. I need to go forward. I need to try and take out this T110E4 right now while he's isolated. I've got a bit of health. I can go forward, pick him off, and then I can get myself back to a safe position. So I'm planning to just blaze around this corner quickly as I can. And that's gotta get your gander up right there. Just missing him on the corner. So we set ourselves up. I'm thinking about chasing him. But then, I think maybe I can take him out as he passes. Now, I'm looking at this circumstance, and I'm thinking, if I spot him there, there's a chance that he gets forward enough that he's behind these legs, right? Then I get spotted, I don't capitalize on anything at that point, and potentially that 60 TP appears on the corner, right? So what I want to do is, I don't want to spot him right on this corner, because when you approach a corner in a tank, especially when you're on a one-shot like that E4, you're thinking, okay, do I want to poke this corner? Do I want to go around this corner? Right? So I don't want to give him that information of, oh, no, I don't want to go around this corner. I want to catch him with his pants down, right? When is that? Well, it's when you're halfway to the next cover, isn't it? If I spot him there, he's got nowhere to go. He can either keep going forward or try to reverse. Either way, he's kind of screwed at that point. So I want to spot him there. I don't want to spot him there, which is why I position the way that I do here. Because when I spot this guy is really important for if I'll get the kill or not. And I'm holding my shot to have a look around, and at this point I'm feeling nervous. So I switch my fire to this corner, cut off the line of spot from the E4, and we are allowed time to aim there. Now I'm going to put myself in here. I know that the E4 right now is going to be turning around. He's got to still be on that corner based on the information. So I wait until I get unspotted. Now, we've talked already about when someone approaches a corner and they're not sure what's around it, they're very nervous, right? When you are sure what's around it and you're one shot, what do? Well, you set up a side scrape, right? You try to engage at your own time. If the Waffenträger has very little armor, this guy's gonna want to be defensive on the corner. If he is expecting to be able to side scrape around there and catch me or trap me in this location, I want to surprise him. I want to put my Waffenträger in a very unexpected location. I'm expecting him to come to this corner and try and sort of side scrape and slowly open up an angle on this position. What I believe he's not expecting is me to appear wide. I'm thinking he'll come to this corner expecting he has to angle against a threat here. And I am thinking if I open out the engagement, if I make it wider, I can catch him out on the corner because he won't be expecting me to go so wide. As you can see, that is basically exactly what happens. You could see him approaching that corner and beginning to turn his tank so that he could side scrape down to get a bit of vision. Completely turned that engagement on its head. He panicked, shot into the ground, and we take him out. Now, at this point, I don't want to push my luck any further in the town. We're lucky that the 705 misses a shot here. We do go for a shot at the cupola, 0.23 accuracy in the 2.1 second aim time, but we don't want to stick about and play with that engagement. We want to get out because we don't know where that 60 TP is, right? And we're thinking that if we stay in that location, right, if we stay there and engage that 705, we're just asking for the 60 TP to appear on this corner with a HG shell and just plow it into our back. Right? That's not a viable position to stay in, engaging a guy on one shot. It's really not. So we relocate, we get out there as quickly as we can. And at this point, what I think I should be doing is making sure that my position is, So what I wanted to do there was I wanted to park here, not up here, because if I park here, set my binos up, I spot this corner, this corner, and I can pull forward as soon as someone gets spotted. As it turns out, I was positioned here, which cut off my view at this corner, so it was poor positional play to be where I was there. We see the 60 TP fire, so we are thinking about aiming a shot at the corner, but now we're also thinking 705 might pop out. And we decide, okay, No. Is it worth, at that point? Is it worth? The 705 pokes the corner, potentially bounces our shot, right? We're not certain to pick up the kill there. At this point, the enemy don't know where I have gone. I like that advantage in the defensive, lightly armored TD. I like the enemy not knowing where I am. So I don't want to squander that advantage in an engagement that I potentially won't win. I want to get a perfect scenario. I want to get the 705 moving up here, catching out in this location, or the 60 TP moving up here, catching out in this location. I don't want to fight heavy tanks on a corner if I can avoid it. I want to catch them with their pants down, and the best way to do that is to have them not know where I am. So I decide that I'm not going to poke. I'm just going to wait for a bit more information. 705 does get spotted in base, so at this point I now consider it worth it to poke that corner. And ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea where that shell went. No idea. Alright, and this is where I'm gonna make another misplay. In my opinion, I think it would have been the right play in this circumstance to let this 60 TP push up a bit. Right? I think if I wait until he gets to here and then poke out and shoot, that is perfect gameplay in my mind. Because what I'm thinking is 60 TP takes about 15 seconds to reload that 150mm gun, right, or 152mm gun. I take 11.12. I'm absolutely going to beat his reload if we fire at the same time. Even if I fire 3 seconds later, I should still beat his reload, right? So I know that I can get 2 shots off. I know I'm likely to pen him. If I engage him on this corner, we both go shot for shot. It gives him the choice to fall back behind hard cover where I can't engage him. If we fire that first shot here, he now can't reverse quickly enough. He's not close enough to get in and face hug me before I reload. I think if I had waited until he was here before trading this shot, it would have been a far better play. As it happens, I panic a bit and I decide to go for the trade early. I go for the tracking shot, but it doesn't work out. And you're seeing exactly what I talk about. Even though I know that I will reload faster than him, I now cannot take advantage. So really poor play by myself in the way I engage this guy. Speaking of poor play, 60 TP sideswiping like he's an IS-4 there. And speaking of odd gameplay, we now have an M50. And if we want to talk about more poor play, let's talk about more positioning. What's the biggest threat on the enemy team? Well, 261 in this circumstance, right? 261 has a very flat gun arc, shells fly very fast to the target. Let me ask you, why am I going out here? Why am I going out here? It just increases the likelihood that the 261 will have a clean shot on me. This is horrifically poor play for me to go all the way out wide here for that shot. And I'm parking here. Like, it's just really poor positioning. And to be honest, 261 getting spotted while moving, if he had been aiming, he might well have been able to dunk on me as I'm in that position. Now I decide that as the 705 was spotted there, I can now relocate and provide potential support for my Progetto, but then I decide I want vision, I want information on this 705, where he is moving. So I set myself up in the same position that I had before, where I am going to be positioned to get vision over anyone moving back and forth in the town. From this position, I cover a huge number of options. If the 705 wants to relocate to his base, I am likely to spot him from this position. And you can see a little minor reposition by me there, getting more into the foliage. So if he does appear on this corner or something like that, I'm more likely to stay concealed. And the Progetto is moving towards the enemy base. But more than that, the enemy arty the enemy arty, the friendly arty, the Batchat 15558, which I consider one of the worst arty in the entire game, if not the worst arty in the entire game, is also putting one of the only good things about his tank to use, which is top speed, and he is moving towards the enemy cap circle as well. Now, I'm in no hurry, no rush to move here. The 7 and 5, I believe, can equip a gun that will, on average, kill me, but the better gun is certainly the one with the lesser alpha damage for the vehicle. We're not sure at this point which gun the 7 and 5 is using, but we do know he is on, let's see, 81 hit points. How do I know that? Well, there's only one tank left, and the enemy have 81 hit points up there. So we know he's got 81 hit points left. That's not really enough that I can reliably take him out with a HE shell. Potentially I could if I hit a lightly armored surface, but APCR with 352mm of pen seems the more logical decision right now. Now, I like our team's play here. We've got this Batchat pressed up right against the building. The least valuable tank is the most exposed, right, which is generally how you want to do it. This Pangelo is stuck in these buildings here, working some bushes. He's got vision over the mid, right, and he's got shots if a 7 and 5 was to come up here, right. So I really like the positioning from our team here. So now it's just about patience, just about holding your nerve. You can see I've been aimed at one place for the entire thing. The thing I don't want to do is keep adapting, keep changing where I'm aiming, but suddenly, the 705 gets spotted. Now, an important thing here. I don't move my tank in this situation. Until my sixth sense goes off, I assume that I'm unspotted. I've got a tank transverse of 26.25. No, I've got a gun transverse of 26.25. My tank transverse is something like 18. Right? So it's 18.77, I believe. It's a lot slower. If I were to use the 36 degrees a second base transverse of this thing, something like 38 on hard, to swing my tank around, I believe I wouldn't pick up the kill. But beyond that, it would lower my cannon rating incredibly. Right? I've got, 15.68% base cannon rating when I'm stationary. If I only turn my turret, that does not go down. If I turn my hull, it goes down to 9.4. I do not know at this stage. At this stage, I'm thinking with my full camo crew, with my BIA, that difference in camo is going to be the difference between this guy spotting me and not spotting me. As it happens, he has already spotted me. But at this point, my assumption is that he won't spot me until he proxy spots me, so I'm only turning my turret. You can see I very consciously do not turn my hull until he gets spotted. And at that point, 38 kilometers an hour top speed put to good use. We can see we're not going to get the shot, but at this point we make a calculation. The Pangelo is on his way to the cap. All we have to do right now is delay this guy. Right? He has no choice right now other than to come all the way over this land to try and defend the base. Right? He's got 34 seconds. The Pangelo is on his way to the cap. All we have to do is just survive or delay him. Right? Our win con is just getting in this position and aiming a shot at this cross. Right? That's all we have to do, and that's GG. He doesn't win at this point. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, let's just go for the Radley Waters. Right? There's no subtlety to this play. If he was aiming at me, he would have absolutely killed me on this corner. But I'm just thinking, hey, 8th kill. We've won the game anyway. Let's see what we can pick up. And indeed, 8 kills for the Waffenträger Panther 4 on Nuremberg in a tier 10 game. Whew. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. An overabundance of premium shells fired, no doubt. But a lovely game at the other end of it. So let's look at the post-battle, shall we? So how lovely to see Ace Tanker, Natalie Walters, High Caliber, and Top Gun. What a beautiful game on Nuremberg. Pangelo did a good job as well. Doesn't seem to be anything else hugely relevant to talk about, although there's Manticore not having a great result, though it's to be expected on Nuremberg, but with some nice counterwork by myself, Jadeg, and our HE shells. And you can see we did 3,000 damage from a distance of no more than 300 meters. 3,000 damage of more than 300 meters. Apparently I'm done. Who knew? But the point I'm wanting to make here is there was a lot of close quarters engagements, a lot of brawling, a lot of positioning, which is one of the reasons I really love the Waffenträger, the fully flexible turret, the lovely gun, the little micromanagement that you can do in this tank. It is one of my favourite tanks in the entire game, and I thoroughly recommend you have some games in it if you enjoyed this gameplay. And we can see that we actually did connect a blind shot there. Game ending, we were seeing 5,100. We actually hit 5,677 damage. Let me see if I can see what we hit a blind shot on. Was it the Skoda? I think our blind might have been the Skoda, actually. Purely because I don't remember ploughing a shot into him. But still, that's lovely. That must have been the shot that we took blind down the Nort line. So, absolutely splendid. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. And if you're interested in more commentary in this style from myself, I'll put the commentary playlist on the outro screen. Yeah, enjoy.
But wielding a band hammer that make viewers feel him like a gang member, yeah. You better never ever shoot versus the man, cause that's a jerk of his hand, hence you're a permanent ban, yep. Like in a roleplay game, you wield a dagger but get smashed from half a globe away. But don't worry mate, he's sorry, eh? You could have known though, it's all the same story.